La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. This very body is soil. My body, your body, everybody is just soil body.
We have considered soil as just a mineral. We don't think about it as a life form, and because of that conditioning or education, we have come to a stage where we need to save soil.
When we say save soil, people are suddenly shocked as well as disinterested because they think, what's wrong with soil? What is the evolution of a desert? How does this desertification happen?
Soil is like a sponge. So you take a sponge which can absorb a lot of water. So that's what soil or earth is. It's sponge. When it is in a form of a sponge, water can retain in that sponge. When water retains, microorganisms or earthworms can move. When those moves, animals and plants and forests can grow, the diversity can increase. When the diversity increases, the soil can be held back, the water can be held back. And when that happens, there is less soil erosion, there is less water erosion. And when all this thing happens, there is a good soil. The reverse is also true. If the sponge becomes like this mobile, flat, shiny surface with no capacity to absorb water, it can't give birth to microorganisms, it can't create forests, it can't retain water, it can't retain soil, so there will be soil erosion and there is a desert. So basically, sponge versus a shiny marble. One is a live soil, the other is dead soil. Now, how does this thing happen? So fundamentally, one needs to look at is what is soil. So when Sadhguru launched this movement of Save Soil, he said that we need nutrient level of 3 to 6%. Now, from where does this nutrient level come? So simple logic of physics, we know that, or accounting, we know that whatever is in the account is what you can withdraw. Neither more nor less. That is what you have. So nutrient is already there in the soil. But when we extract that nutrient and not replace it back, the nutrient percentage comes down. So what is a good soil and bad soil? So when say whatever we eat, there is a leftover in terms of the fruit peels or even human waste or animal waste. When that waste goes back to the soil, the nutrient of the soil remains as it is. So your cycle of growing another food continues. But when that food that is grown in the soil gets say exported or transported to a city, then all the nutrient in a way is moving away from the soil to another place outside the country or in the city, where it is getting mixed with plastic and getting dumped as a garbage. In that case, it becomes poison. So nutrient has moved to city, it has become poison. The soil in the village is now without nutrient, and when the soil in the village is without nutrient, we need to find ways and means to put back the nutrient, which is fertilizers and pesticides and all those things. But if the nutrient cycle was intact, this water cycle which I explained you earlier and the life cycle which I explained you earlier would remain intact. And when this nutrient cycle is broken, all the cycles are broken and we come to a stage where we have to save soil. Now imagine this human body like ours, which is all in good shape. It is one entity. It is one entity. The heart, the lungs, the livers, everything, while they are separate components, they are all one. Now what we have done, our colonial Western education or our corporate culture has done is, it has considered this human body not as one but as parts. So it says that, okay, heart is very good, so I need to get the best from the heart, let the lungs suffer. So it's like, the whole body is there, but we have divided that bodies into pieces and we are extracting the best that we want. We are extracting, blood from one place, we are extracting all the best juices from liver, we are extracting the brains from somewhere. So we are, just cutting the body, chopping it in pieces and extracting whatever we need. but we need to understand that the whole body is one, and if that body, if you do all those things, the body is going to die. So that's the case of earth, where whether it's borewell or whether it's mining or even agriculture, certain things are getting extracted beyond a limit and they are not getting replenished. When that is happening, basically the body of the earth is, it's being conditioned to the plight that I talked about. So soil and water are not two different subjects. While we understand them as two different subjects, they are one. It is only when soil is good, water can be saved. Only when water is good, soil can be saved. It is only when this good soil and good water comes together that there is life form, be it plants or animals or anything else. So all our food system would be a function of water cycle and nutrient cycle. And when these two things get broke, obviously the life system gets broken. So it's very fundamental, where this whole thing of unity, we don't have to look at it in terms of parts, but it's all one. And when we look at it one, we want to preserve it, we want to regenerate it. But when we look at it as pieces, we want to just extract the maximum we can and forget about it. And I think that's how most educated and well-to-do people have started seeing, because they went far away from earth, but lost the connection of the earth. And that is where what we need to get back to. So I think, while Britishers left us, whatever, in 1947, but their systems, their thoughts and their way of working never left us. In fact, it has completely captured us even today. So I think Green Revolution, I would believe it was a mistake, because while it increased the agriculture production and it enabled to support so much population and population growth, but what it has done is it has collapsed the natural ecosystem. So if you go in a forest, there is nobody tilling, there is nobody watering, there is nobody giving fertilizer, nobody giving pesticide, nothing is happening in the forest. It takes care of itself. Similarly, the land, the farms in India were taking care of themselves, because there was a cow which was giving manure. All the human waste, all the food waste was going back to the soil. So the nutrient cycle was intact. Because the nutrient cycle was intact, the water cycle was intact, and everybody was taking care of their land and water because they were dependent on that for their sustenance. Now with all this growth and Green Revolution, we got disconnected with this thing. So this whole concept of regeneration and restoration of ecological balance, we just lost connectivity and outsourced it to fertilizers and pesticides, which did a great job initially, but in the long term, more than a service, it is doing a disservice, because it has killed that living soil and made it into a factory. Now a factory will only run as much as there is resource being put into it, or else it will collapse. But a living soil will sustain itself forever. So yes, I think this whole ecosystem thing got collapsed because of Green Revolution, and now the government is again talking about zero budget natural farming or natural farming, organic farming, all those things. So yeah, I would believe so, and it's high time we work on restoring all our natural systems, because then the forest, then the farms, then the water can be saved, or else we'll be plugging one leakage in the bucket and the water is going out through others, and it's no end to it.
But is it possible? You have also seen in Ladakh what can happen. Is it really possible with the power of modern media that we can elevate human consciousness towards these things in a very big way? Or is it too late?
It's not too late. I'm sure we can elevate, and I think at individual level, human has understanding about these things and also the consciousness. But now, the system and everything is not governed by human. It is governed by large organizations which are inhuman. And when large organizations which are inhuman go in a certain direction, even if all the employees of that organization want to go in some other direction, they can't, because they are dependent on that large organization. So humans do understand, but I think many organizations don't. And is it too late? Then I think we need to realize this, that the humanity has gone carry forward. We are in fifth humanity, and every time the humanity goes down and comes up, it is only those who can survive with the basic nature that they continue the humanity to the next level. So we may have developed a lot in terms of our ability to code or trade on stock market, but when there is a huge flood in Mumbai, swimming will be most important thing and nothing else will matter, and only those who can swim probably will continue the next humanity. So we need to again go back to basics, and there is a way to do it, of fixing our ecosystem, because that is, as I mentioned, it's like a human body. The whole body has to survive. If we just chop it into pieces and extract the best thing, the body will die. And a body can survive only when the whole thing is thought of as a one unit rather than as small pieces. But that consciousness and that education has to come in. Even the current education system doesn't really teach so much about soil conservation or water conservation or ecosystem. We are taught about all the subjects sitting in Mumbai, but not about the oceans, while Mumbai is surrounded by 70% ocean. So there is a huge disconnect. But I think there are a lot of movements and there are a lot of organic initiatives across the world which are trying to bring that change. And when many of these seeds are taking birth, and at right time, some of these seeds will flourish and create a new forest for new humanity. And that's my hope.
Namaste, good morning, good afternoon, good evening.